See you, TMG.
Hey, you know my guy scored in every knockout round.
Finally, because this is his first knockout goals. I mean, most of them are all penalties, if not all of them, apart from one. Like I said, it's turned to Messi. Because you guys love to give Ronaldo hit for scoring penalties.
At the end of the day,
but it's a goal's a goal.
A goal's a goal. Thank you. At the end of the day, a goal's a goal. Do you know how these take penalties?
No.
Everyone's built for it.
Look
at Kane.
The reason I've been out is because you guys used to give Ronaldo heat for doing that, but now Messi's doing that. It seems okay.
We're old. We're old.
Well, now Messi's doing it. Seems okay.
Ronaldo was doing that in his prime. We are old. We are old. Pens are not even our thing. Remember, we missed 28% of all of our pens we've ever taken. Pens have never been our thing. So to have the bottle to take them, they've never been our thing. Until when Czech saved that pen, that was the end.
Well, he still scores a good number of penalties every season.
Now, the pen he took against Croatia, that's a real pen.
That's what he should have been doing.
That's what he should have been doing. He tried to do too much. Szczesny psyched him out. That wasn't good. But we're back. How many pens we got now? How many pens?
I've lost count. How many goals? He's got like 5 goals. I think at least 2 or 3 more pens.
That's it. 5 goals. 5 goals at a World Cup. Top of assists. Top goals. Top assists. You can't chat to us.
How many assists you got?
3. You can't chat to us. And we should have got another one for the Alvarez goal. That's an assist.
Which one? The Alvarez didn't give it to him?
No, the first one. The first Alvarez goal.
I thought they gave it to him.
They didn't give it to him. They gave him the second goal.
Oh, no, because there was a lot of deflections and stuff.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
Okay. Flipping, I mean, yeah. Brazil are out.
Yeah,
Neymar's
How do you feel?
Hmm?
How do you feel? Because that's all I care about. I care about how you feel.
I feel good.
No, you don't. How many guys messaged you after Brazil out? I think
nobody messaged me.
No one messaged you. I should have messaged you.
I'm
actually, to be fair, you messaged me this week and you said to me, "How do I feel?" I said, "I got Messi." And guess what? That's the difference between us.
Yeah, Messi's a far greater player than Neymar ever will be.
Far greater player than him. Far greater player than every single other Brazilian as well.
Yeah, the business right now, yeah. I mean, the only one that's somewhat on his level is R9. And I guess when I did somewhat...
R9 is not a Messi level.
No, somewhat guys somewhat on his level is R9. Ronaldinho, somewhat around there.
Do you know what? Wait, when are you going to start talking about longevity, about the consistency of how long you've been good at? Because those men were, how long were they good? The best.
That's a long reason.
So then let's slap them man out of there.
That's a big reason why Messi is above them. But that's said, the only one that said someone on his level is R9. Ronaldinho is below. And the only one that, like I said, he's definitely on his level, in my opinion, still greater, is Pele. He's the only other Brazilian that can...
What was Pele doing at 32?
What was Messi doing at 17?
We were playing.
We're doing what now?
Winning Olympics and stuff like that.
Olympics. So one guy was winning World Cups.
This is different eras because
17. It works both ways. It works both ways.
This is different eras.
It works both ways.
Bro, Pele was playing against Farmadons.
In 58.
In 58, he was 17. Okay, 17.
It works both ways.
Wait. Let me go for this. 58, you won.
Yeah.
62.
Won as well,
but you got injured.
Yeah.
66.
66, he was poor. He got kicked out of the tournament. Brazil were poor, he was poor.
70.
70, he was the best player in the tournament.
Then you went on the drought for what? 24 years.
He retired at 70.
No, but Brazil went on the drought for 24 years.
Brazil went on the drought for 24 years, yeah. Except we've got another 24 years. So 26, yeah. But flipping...
Keep droughting, dog. I hate Brazil fans. The man think you think the World Cup is given to you. It's not.
But the thing is, back to the tournament, I mean, when guys say, what was Pele doing at 32?
What was he doing at 33?
Yeah, 33, different times.
44.
34. He's not going to last as long as these guys. Listen, he's not going to last as long as these guys because, modern advances in technology, medicine, fitness regimes allow players to last longer.
What? They didn't even know who Pele was at 17. He just came there.
He came there and
they didn't do no scouting. If there was a 17-year-old there, they would have got some information. Football manager would have picked him up. You would have known he's a wonder kid back there. Would have kicked him out.
There's twos and throws. There's pros and cons of each era.
Now guys are scouted. They know everything. They know everything about Messi, and Messi still does it.
Yeah,
he still does it.
Like I said before, there's pros and cons in every era. That's what makes it difficult to compare players in different eras. But the issue is that
compare them against their players.
Yeah, that's what you should do effectively. But obviously,
slap Pele's head, man. Slap him.
Obviously, fantasy-wise, people are gonna try. When people say they're greatest of all time, they're gonna try and compare. But what people of today do, they take all the pros from this era and they take all the cons from that era. They don't actually have a comparative fair argument. Like I said, this era of football, modern, is more advanced, is a higher level of football. I'm not going to ever dispute that. At least technically speaking.
So then why one of the best players?
Pause. But you have to still remember, like the same way you can say all the pros to that era. If you're gonna take a player from Messi, from back in the day, Maradona, Pele's time, there's a lot of things to take into account. The physicality, brutality of the game. I always go back to this. When you're defending someone, everyone with sense knows if you're trying to defend someone that can really dribble, it's very easy to just foul them than to actually tackle them. And you could just foul guys. You could effectively keep guys.
Why didn't Vice foul Mbappe?
When?
For the first goal.
Because he's a donkey. Or
maybe an idiot.
Maybe whatever. But you could foul guys, no yellow cards, nothing like that. You could foul guys. Like I said, you could kick guys out of tournaments. You could do that regardless. They kicked McDonald out 82. They kicked Pelé out 66. You could do that. Also as well. Also,
82?
Yeah, they kicked him out of the tournament.
But he won it. He won it 86.
He won 86. Also as well, you could the technology was inferior. The boots, the ball heavier. There was all that sort of stuff, and the pitch terrible, harder to dribble, harder to control. People for this in this day and age, they forget all that stuff. There's I don't know, maybe they don't know. Like I said, lack of research, just forget that stuff. These are stuff you have to take in consideration. But like I said, my point still stands. This era of football.
How tall was Pelé?
He's 5'9".
And he's winning headers like that
because he's a supreme athlete.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you could say sure. Yeah, you could say sure. Just a supreme athlete. Just like Wilt Chamberlain was a supreme athlete. Just like flipping Michael Jordan was a supreme athlete. Who else? Dr. J, supreme athlete. You have some guys are just that special. I mean, I don't know why it's so hard to understand. Some guys.
Me and Michael Jordan right now, I'll slap him.
Some guys are just that. Some guys are just that special. That's what people need to. That's like Messi is that special. Ronaldo's that special. But the thing I found so funny is that
you're a fence sitter. That's why people, when it comes to your Messi Ronaldo, you were going through this time where you had there was some clouds in your head, and you were saying someone was better than only recently. Then all of a sudden you had an epiphany.
No.
Oh, you know. All of a sudden, you had something.
The fact changed my opinion.
Okay, you had some epiphany.
But we'll touch that later. I mean, I find it so funny, and I will say this because at least it's recorded. People can't forget.
Yeah. Yep. You punk.
So we're now 2022. Yeah. 2030, 40. When people start saying this about Messi, Ronaldo, he didn't do this, didn't have this in his time. The game's so advanced, blah blah blah. When your children and all start talking this talk, every one of you guys, I'm gonna come back to you guys and see what I'm talking about. You can't just talk about.
Talk to my kids.
You can't. No, you can't.
When my kid is what?
No, but I'm saying
when my kid is 10 years old and you come and talk to him about he's gonna cook you until it's a Messi thing.
When new controllers of information are now trying to push the next best thing, which is what happens.
But then why is Michael Jordan still considered the greatest basketball of all time?
Because LeBron he's not good enough. At the end of the day, he hasn't accomplished enough. And also as well, Michael Jordan,
there's generations and generations that are still pushing this.
But I mean, Michael Jordan, he has the shoes. That's a big thing. And also Michael Jordan is essentially had the perfect career. I'm sorry. And like I said, LeBron's not good enough, he hasn't accomplished enough. As much as people try to sugarcoat it, he hasn't accomplished enough.
So what happens if Steph Curry wins 3 rings? And then let's say he wins 3 out of the next 3 rings. He won the next 3 out of the 5 rings. What happens?
He may go into the debate, but
so he has 7 rings.
But he still won't be above Jordan. He may go into the debate, but I don't think.
Wait, he has 7 rings though, but it's about rings.
I don't think it's not just about rings, but I don't
think it'll be 7-2 in finals.
It'll be 7-2. That'll be great if you've done that. And how many finals MVPs would we have? If we would have 4.
Maybe he wins 4.
Michael Jordan's argument is so easy to make. 6 rings, the points are there, scoring titles, 6 finals. Basically, essentially.
But then LeBron has all of those.
No, but his essentially one is basically just on an accomplishment standpoint: 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs. If you take everything.
How about Giannis?
Giannis has a chance if he gets the finals MVPs and the rings. But it's literally 6.
How about he goes? Obviously, I got a guy that's gonna come and might overtake him. Give him some time. He's better than him. He was at 23.
Okay.
He's better than he is.
But like I said,
that's not an argument.
To usurp Michael Jordan,
it's not an argument.
It's exceptionally hard to do.
Can you before we go? It's not an argument that he's better than he was at 23. Yes or no?
Michael Jordan and Luka.
Yeah, there's no argument.
Michael Jordan 23. That was. He came to the league at 21, 84, 85, 86. I think he won his first MVP 87, 88. I have to check his stats. He was doing that 23, but it is a very big argument. So
it's not an argument.
I have to see.
How many playoff series did he win? Because he didn't win his first 3.
I'll have to see what he's doing in terms of playoffs, but in terms of that's.
So what did my guy do?
I mean, he's accomplished more in terms of playoffs, but in terms of But then actually wait, but then you have to be realistic. He's coming against the Celtics.
My team's got nothing. He's got guys.
Michael Jordan have guys on the Pippen game.
We played as Clippers that had the two. They said the two best.
Yeah, and he lost to them, and
we took them 7. Yeah, he didn't win a game.
But
he didn't win a game.
Who?
Remember, Michael Jordan was in the league for what? Well, he came in 94.
84.
84. He was in the league for 6 years.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Guys was smacking his bum.
6 years.
6 years before, 7 years before he won. Was it 7 years?
For a title.
Yeah. Guys was smacking his bum. He was
losing when he was supposed to lose.
And guys were Pistons. I watched the Pistons documentary recently. They weren't even talking about Jordan until like 89.
Which Pistons?
Bad Boys.
On ESPN.
Yeah. Okay. It's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't even talking about it. They were talking about overcoming the Celtics. So where was he? Where was he for those years?
So you made my point.
Where was he for those years?
You made my point.
What's your point?
You should overcome the Celtics. You're arguably the best team of all time. In that same conference.
But they slapped him. But then who was he losing to? No, he didn't just lose to the Celtics. Who else did he lose to?
The Celtics, he lost to the Celtics majority of the time. Was that majority of the time before he won?
One time.
No, before I think it was 2. Before he lost, or 2 or 3. Before he lost to the Pistons, lost to the Celtics.
Then he lost to who? He lost to someone else.
First time he lost was the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, that's an awful loss.
It's not an awful loss.
It's an awful
They
loss.
was better than him. That was in his first year.
Yeah, if it was me, I'll overcome it.
So his first year, playing a team what's it called? With drug abusers.
What do you think the Bucks had?
They had a good team, Sidney Moncrief and those other
guys. They had drug abusers too.
Their team was, their drug abusers were working the right way. Because they had Sidney Moncrief and other guys.
Don't invite their attention. Brazil, awful. Yes? Or no?
I don't know how we got into Jordan, but yeah, we digress. I mean,
talk about generations.
Yeah, Jordan, it's going to take a whole lot to usurp him.
Yeah,
LeBron,
talk about Brazil, man.
LeBron has done fine. Messi, Ronaldo, they have a much better argument of being the greatest than LeBron does in basketball.
Yeah, true.
And so that's why Messi, like I said,
Messi doesn't have an argument. He's
not. But if Messi wins, then in my opinion, yeah, him and Pele at the same table. Take your pick wherever you want.
Yeah, on the same table. Wow.
If Messi wins the World Cup, they'll be on the same table.
How about we win the Champions League as well at the end of this season? Then we'll go over the table. Then we can sit at the middle of the table.
Wins the Champions League as well.
Well, PSG are definitely not winning. As a great man once said, you can't have 3 walkers. 1 walker is enough.
I mean, if we win the Champions League as well, then that's that. Then we have to redress that conversation. But if we win this World Cup, him and Pele are at the same table. They're at the same table. You look eye to eye to each other. I mean, like I said, when he beat Brazil in the final Copa America, he legitimized his claims. Because before that, it was nonsense. Well, not nonsense, but it was kind of weakish. He legitimized his claims, and now he has, like, yeah.
What happens if Mbappe wins?
If Mbappe wins, then this is what will help to start his claim.
That means he has 2 World Cups, so technically he's talking directly into Pele's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He'll be most likely going to go down the same arc as Pele, get most of the attention or most of the value of his goal argument, whatever you want to call it, for international prowess.
The thing is, even if Mbappe were to win, let's say he wins, I just don't see the same acclaim about Mbappe as there is, as there could be. I don't think he's as valued as he could be.
What do you mean?
I don't think he's valued. Guys don't. They say, "Oh, Mbappe fine in pace," but they don't see him as the best.
Because he's not as skilled as Messi. He's not as skilled as Ronaldo. He's not as skilled as Pele. He's not as skilled as Maradona. I mean, all the guys in that, he's still got to develop his game. All those guys in those sort of greatest players, top 10, top 15. He's not as good as Henry yet. He's not as good as R9. Yeah, because Mbappe still, it appears that his game is still heavily predicated around pace. If his pace was to wane, it looks like he will be really be a shell of the player. Like even right now, when Arnold lost his pace, you could still see this guy was still heavily skilled and heavily productive. 2002,
he was
injured, lost his pace, and still proved to be the best man in the world. I can't see Mbappe doing that. I mean, I hope he still improves. He will still improve and adapt his game, but his game is predicated around pace. As much as people try to Ronaldo's athleticism, Ronaldo technically was still an amazing player. Mbappe technically is good, but he still needs improvements to make. I'm not to say he can't make those improvements, but skill. He's just not as skilled as those guys. Attributes wise, he doesn't have as many attributes. We're not to say, but people get lost thinking more is always better. It's not the case, but he just doesn't have as many attributes. That's it. He's he's mainly just a final third player. But if he improves his playmaking,
not playmaking, go on pass.
Well, people
that's trying to tell me he's technical.
People were saying similar stuff. If I remember correctly, about Cristiano cross.
Good cross.
But it wasn't really a playmaker. That the question was there. But if Mbappe improves his playmaking, composure, back to goal. Because I was watching a video of Evra and on the 5 we were afraid and talking about Mbappe doesn't like to play back to goal.
He doesn't like to play as the. He doesn't like to play as a lone front man.
Yeah, so
he needs to see the picture.
But Mbappe, I mean, if he happens to still keep his pace, doesn't get injured for the rest of his prime playing years, it still happens to be winning. It'll be very hard to deny him. I mean, because it's basically the race is done on who's the most impactful. If he impacts win to that level,
you think it's just a World Cup then? International. But it was actually poor in the Euros, to be honest.
I mean, it's World Cup right now, but we still have to achieve Champions Leagues and maybe Euros. But yeah, I mean, we have to do more winning than I guess Messi and Ronaldo has done, and win the Ballon d'Ors to couple with that as well, or to go with that as well. But
who do you think is going to win the Ballon d'Or this year?
I think it depends on who wins the final.
So you already decided that, regardless of what happens, Champions League.
In a World Cup, yeah, the Champions League is
even if Messi wins this and he decides, it's the end, I don't really care. I'm okay.
If he retires, I'll give it to him. If he,
I really hope Messi wins and this is his last game. Like, just cut
from football, or
from football.
Go out on a high.
Just cut. Don't linger.
Like Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather. Go out on a high.
Just cut. Don't linger. Just cut.
It makes me a big game. They said he had injury tightness in his hamstring.
Yeah, he pulled up in the middle of the game. I saw him touching his goal. I was a bit worried in that game, but then we cut up Gravido. And guys were telling me Gravido was the best centre back at the World Cup. So he cut him up.
Yeah, Messi.
He cut him up.
Looking